Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ritika Goenka from Malda, West Bengal. I am a student of ITM Business School, Kharghar, Navi Mumbai, and I am interning with Dorai Foundation for 15 days. Welcome you, Rashmi ma'am. So we have with the achievers, Mrs. Rashmi Dhariwal from Jaipur, Rajasthan. She is a founder and CEO of Setu, the bridge to artisan, and she is a successful textile engineer from a prestigious school in Rajasthan, India. Ma'am, can you tell us more about yourself?
More about?
Yourself, ma'am, about you.
Okay, you have already told me. I'm Rashmi, you know my name, and I'm a textile engineer, and I'm the founder and CEO of our social enterprise, which is known as Setu. Setu is a consortium. It consists of a social enterprise which exports handicraft products, and we also have a non-profit arm which is totally self-funded. So our social enterprise and our non-profit together they try to achieve social sustainability, economic sustainability, and environment sustainability. So this is basically a self-sustainable model, while all other NGOs are dependent on external grants, external fund, for example, from government or other donors. Our model is totally self-sustainable. So we earn our own money and we run our non-profit through our own money only instead of taking external grants.
Like, ma'am, when it comes to your mind, like you are going to start this before starting this organization, as I was going to your website, you were doing a job before, and then you
Yeah.
started doing this
Yeah,
organization.
so as you already know, I'm an engineer by my
Yes,
qualification.
ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
I was working with a multinational corporate in Kota. And so there I was heading the QA and technical department. And just, yeah. So during my work in Kota, I came in contact with artisan community who were handloom weavers, and they used to weave Kota Doria handloom sarees. If you have, do you ever know? Have you ever heard of Kota Doria hand woven sarees?
No, ma'am. You can tell about that also.
Okay. Okay, so that's like a very fine cotton yarn and it is beautifully woven into very intricate motifs. So at that time, we came in contact with our community and we found out that their art was dying and so were their spirits because the competition with the technology was taking a toll on their craft and they were not able to compete with the power loom saris. So while their sari used to cost them rupees 3,000 and they had to compete with a machine woven sari which cost just 300 rupees. And the normal day-to-day buyer would not even know the difference. So it came as a very shock to us, like how can people not understand the beauty of the handloom woven sari and why such artisans had to give up their craft and they were literally like dying of hunger. They have no work and they were trying to join the factory as contract laborers. You know, like the contract laborers, they get very little benefits and very less pays. So we spent some time with that community. We tried to find out some ways how to market their products, and we did a lot of developments with them. So, for example, instead of making a 5 meter long, very intricate sari, they could try to make some stoles which are smaller in size. We started. We trained them how to make simpler motifs, use lesser gold, use internationally acceptable colors, and then we helped them get a big order for exporting their stores. So when we this was a whole process of 2 to 3 months, and it involved a lot of hand holding in terms of helping them develop and execute that order. So after the completion of that order, we found a drastic transformation in the community. It was not only about the economic gain, it was about the confidence that they gained that yes, their craft still has a lot of potential, and if they uh, get some knowledge and trainings and if they did some surveys, they can really do better.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that transformation in their community started the spark of transformation in our own, hearts. Like it feels like we did something good. It was very satisfying, very satisfying. Fine. So we thought like if we worked harder and tried to help other communities, we could make a really big transformation and help a lot of communities that way. So that was the initiation of the thought that how we developed the thought about starting Setu. And so in 2007, we formally registered Setu and it started as a social enterprise. So we try to empower the struggling artisans both in terms of social upgradation and their economic standing, and of course the three pillars: social, environmental and economic are our priorities. So after a period of 3 years, we also founded our non-profit arm, which is known as Setu Society, and we do a lot of development projects for the whole of the artisan community.
And that was nice to hear that you shifted, you changed your mind and you started helping others, ma'am. Ma'am, like in after leaving the job,
Right.
after quitting the job, like any difficulties you have faced?
Yeah, there were lots of difficulties at that time. You know, we did not have enough of the funds that are required for to start a new business. So, firstly, the funds were an of big problem. But then we had to liquidate our savings, whatever savings we had. We started investing into the our mission. And the second game was like we wanted to bring about a change in the community, and we wanted to bring about a social change. We wanted to, suddenly change the entire thinking, and it
Yes,
is not
ma'am.
very easy. There's a lot of resistance that comes out of the artisans. Basically, you cannot impose a change. You
Yes.
have to change the mindset so that they adopt a change as their own. So when a person from the inside starts believing that change is very important for them, only then and then they can join the mission of transforming their own selves. So there were a lot of issues like that, for example, just like motivating the women to come out. If you want to empower women, it's not just, you cannot just go and give a lecture to the women and all the women suddenly will start coming out of their homes. Similarly, if you want to absolve child labor, you have to everything, every small change takes a lot of thought
We
process, a
need,
lot of
like, ma'am,
efforts. Yeah,
we need to build trust, we can
yeah,
say.
we need to build trust. We need
Yes, ma'am.
to convince them that the change is
Yes.
really going to change their life, and it may be difficult to change, but then how to change and how important it is for them. So it has been a long journey now. It's been 15 years, so now the things are different. But yes, at that time there were many challenges. Then we had to find the customer base who would buy the products, and then we had to develop the design facility, the capacity building program, our own team development, and all the people in the chain, they all had to be aligned to a mission, to a policy, to the set of ethical values that Setu is all about.
Okay, that's great, ma'am. Like, ma'am, as you told that you were doing the you have done many projects. So what kind of
Yeah.
projects, ma'am? Like,
So all our projects are basically after a process of need identification. For example, if we are associated with 40 artisan groups, each artisan group is located in a different geographical areas. For
yes, ma'am.
example, we work in Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir, to the south in Tamil Nadu. In the west, we work in Kutch, Rajasthan, and in the east, we work till Assam also. So every set of artisans has different problems. They have different needs. They have different type of projects that are needed for them. So when we identify the projects, okay, this group needs more focus on women empowerment issues, or this group needs more on technical upgradation issues, then we design the projects and implement them. For example, if you know about block printing, so when the artisans do block printing, there's a lot of water that goes into drain. So every month they were, uh, throwing away 50,000 liters of water. So at that time, we sat with a lot of technical people and we designed a water recycling program so that that water, instead of being thrown into drains, could be recycled for 15 cycles and they could continue to do the water recycling. So this is one example of the water conservation. Then, if we talk about, we do a lot of health camps. We do a lot of awareness camps on menstrual health and motivate the women on why to adopt for sanitary napkins distributions. And then there are other health related issues. For example, the handicraft industries that also results in a lot of pollution, which are detrimental to the artisan health. For example, if you know about wooden handicrafts, then there is a lot of fine sawdust that is generated, and the artisans are inhaling all of that
Yes, ma'am.
dust. So then we try to develop technological solutions. For example, we did a lot of suction system underground, so all the dust would get sucked under the ground and it would go through huge exhaust fans into large pits, which could then be collected in time to time, that would be cleaned away. So, and then there are skill upgradation workshops. So to get the aimless youth in the society to do some meaningful work for a dignified livelihood, then we conduct a lot of training workshops. So we do a lot of training workshops for women. We create a lot of self-help groups in which the women are involved, and then they get to learn the skills, and then we provide them livelihood options. So ultimately there's a whole range of programs. So if you want to know more details, a lot of them are available on our websites.
That's great. Now, like you are helping in different states also. Like, ma'am,
Yeah.
as you are helping in different states, and last year due to COVID, due to lockdown, we are not allowed to go anywhere. Then how did you manage that time?
Right.
What difficulties you have faced?
So the travel was definitely restricted in the last 1 year. It still is restricted,
Yes, ma'am.
but we did a lot of projects that could help the artisans get out of the this unprecedented situation. So, firstly, the first thing was advance payment. So, when the work was closed, then we issued a lot of advance payment, financial support to many of our partner artisan groups. Then, secondly, the main thing was that their morale was going down. The stress and the uncertainty of the future, that was getting more critical than the effect of the virus itself. Everyone was going into depression, anxiety, fear, what will happen. So at that time we placed orders in anticipation to all the artisans, just so that we could boost their morale, so that they could keep themselves busy from the confines of their homes. Thirdly, we started training like on WhatsApps, on video calls, and we made small videos on how to sew different types of masks. So to all the women, we involved like approximately 28 women. We taught them how to sew masks, and then we couriered fabrics to all of them, and they could sew a lot of masks, which we could export, which we distributed for free in the domestic market. But ultimately, a lot of women ended up sewing masks and getting dignified livelihood right from their homes.
Ma'am, as you are doing so much work for the societies and all, now how could you manage your personal and professional life?
So that's a big question, Ritika.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Because being an intern, I am so focused on my work that I am unable to give my time to myself and my families. Like I go do work till 2 p.m., 2 a.m. at night, and also I need to finish my work. So how do you manage?
I think it's more about how passionate you are towards the mission. So when I left the job, there were like so many insecurities in my mind. Like being a woman and being an engineer in those days was already a very rare thing, and I had a very cozy job, a good salary, and then I had two kids as well, and my husband, and he was very supportive. And at that time, so when I left the job, the ultimate aim was that me and my husband, we will both focus on this, because this is such a big area that alone it could not be managed. But at that time, like I told you, we had two kids, and it was just impossible for both of us to leave the job. You have to have food in your stomach before you go out and start
Yes, ma'am.
distributing to others. So then after a lot of thought, it was decided that only one of us can leave the job at that time. But then I started, and I think it was so much satisfying for your heart, that the passion overtook the concerns. So
Yes,
it was a lot of hard work. So for example, when you're engineer and you're in a job, you have to focus say on a technical area, but now you have to focus on the accounting, on the purchasing, on the logistics, on the export
marketings.
norms and marketings, everything. And then when you work with artisans, it is not an organized area. They are very illiterate, and then even if you send them an email, you have to make sure that they get it, that they understand it. So there were so many areas. There were so many areas where you had to focus, and the time was so less. But then I think, like I said, that every the results were so satisfying that you continued on, and slowly we could build up a team. And then God has been kind with. I think that when you're doing good, automatically all the hurdles get
Yes,
cleared
Things
in your
fall in
path.
place.
yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes, of course.
Definitely, ma'am. Like as you told that, your personal professional life that you are doing a lot of work, okay, and even you have done the job also before. Now, after starting an
Yeah.
organization, how was your journey? Like, how was it before and how was later after starting
So,
the
like I
organization?
told you in the beginning, there were so many struggles, and there was always a fear like, yeah, I hope I have not done something wrong by leaving a cozy job and then jumping into something which is totally unknown. But like I told, like after some time, you start feeling so satisfying that you forget about the other things, and slowly the things got cleared. And ultimately, now today, if you talk about the whole of the journey, I have learned a lot, and everything has been so. Now I feel that it has been a very nice decision that we could leave our jobs and follow something that has been so close to our heart. This is like in the amount of work that I now do, I think I'm able to achieve much more in terms of what the effect is being on the other communities or on our organization. It is like a very learning the journey help us to learn a lot and gain a lot. So everything has been good so far.
That's nice, ma'am. Ma'am, like, how do you connect it with Fair Trade Forum?
Uh, I think, okay, so we were already following the fair trade model, and we had our own set of ethics and policies. We had a 19-point policy, which at that time it had much more points than what the 10 principles of fair trade had.
Yes, ma'am.
Over the period, everyone has evolved and everyone has changed. So I think we started earning a good name and we started becoming popular. So at that time, Mr. Malik,
Aitham
he
Mallikarjuna, sir.
was, yeah.
Yes.
He's a very nice person, and he has
Yes, ma'am.
taken fair trade to very good heights, I would say. So he was very proactive, and I had been to another partner organization. I was visiting there in the south, and there he called them, and then we connected. And Malik said that it would be very good that if we joined the fair trade forum, because our like missions match. And so that is how, and we became a member of
That's
fair
great,
trade
ma'am.
forum.
That's great.
Yeah,
Even I had an interview with Dr. like Mr. Aitham Mallikarjuna, sir, and he's
yeah.
so great, sir. He was an inspiring person. Like,
Yeah,
ma'am,
he did a lot for the fair trade forum and expanding the network, and
yes,
so he
ma'am.
was the one. Yeah.
Ma'am, any achievements you would like to say, like in your life, any achievements your
I
organization
would
also
say,
did?
yeah, so I think personal achievements and your organization achievements are linked after a time, because when you have given your life's premium 15 years to an organization, then it means a lot. So I would say now we have a network in 16 states of India. We are connected with more than 40 artisan groups, and we have more than 10,000 artisans in our network, and we are spread in all the areas. And I would say we have built up a really good reputation and name, and people look up to us for guidance on how to follow and manage the fair trade principles and ethics. And so we have developed a lot of tools and techniques which many people follow, not only in India but in other countries as well. So I would say it's a good journey and a good achievement about which we are proud of. And when we see the women, which like who 6 to 7 years back had just no money, who are now becoming role models in their communities. And when our self-help groups, who we started with just 2 women, and that too with great difficulty, they have now reached to self-help groups of up to 25 women. And every day more and more women want to join so many different self-help groups. So it means a lot. And now when
Yes,
we see
ma'am.
the, especially the daughters of our artisans or of the members of our self-help groups, when we see them growing up and studying and becoming into, like, for example, one of our artisans daughter, she has just completed her engineering, which is a great feat for that community, where no woman had ever studied, and she has completed her education to become an engineer. And recently she got a great job offer from a big multinational IT company
That's great.
with a good salary. So when we see the proud parents and how that their daughters are doing wonders, it feels really good, like you have made some mark.
Yes, ma'am.
Like,
That's even like, yeah. If we are doing something good for others and we are helping
yeah.
them, they are getting achievements. Then obviously
Yes,
we
so it's
will feel proud, ma'am. And ma'am,
right.
anything like you could do differently from other organization for your organization
Like I told you,
in
we are
future
different in the
also.
sense that we are very different in the sense that we have no external grant or aid, and we are doing everything on our self-sustainable model. We started from scratch with almost no money, and even now when we are doing all these projects or development projects, we do not have any external grant. So this is a model which makes us self-sustainable, and that makes us really different. And secondly, when we talk about so many other NGOs, everyone focuses on skill trainings. Even government
Yes,
programs,
ma'am.
everyone focuses on just skill development, skill trainings.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
nobody cares what happens after. Suppose you're teaching 1,000 women how to sew. What happens after those 1,000 women learn to sew? So you have to provide market linkages. And here is what makes us different. So we provide them trainings where we think we can immediately link them to the market. So we are very design focused. Our products are very functional, very environment friendly, and very innovative, in the sense that people buy our products because they are good quality, they have a good design, they are very functional. They just do not buy because this has been made by a women's organization or because of underprivileged artisans. So that way, I think that
That's great,
makes us a little
ma'am.
different.
That's great, ma'am.
There are many organizations, and everyone has their own mission, and
Yes, ma'am.
so many organizations are doing a wonderful job. And like all organizations are unique in their own way, and it's a collective effort of so many of similar organizations like us, that such movements are getting popular, and we are able to make a collective difference in the communities.
That's great, ma'am. And ma'am, my last question is any message like you would like to give to the coming generation? As we all know that m- nowadays, like in India, everyone is so conscious of themselves and they don't help others actually. So any message to the coming generation?
I think, Ritika, here, I think you are a part of the coming generation. And I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
the coming generation helps each other a lot. They are so much always connected to each other. Maybe they are on the social media, but they're always connected. The network is strong. And I think they help each other a lot, as compared to the in our days where, everyone was so much in the competitive field. And I also think that the new generation has a lot of confidence in themselves. They have a
Yes,
lot of
ma'am.
tools, but they have been very underestimated. They have been very undermined. They have been considered as a generation who's just into the technology or wasting time on social media. But I think they have a lot of new tools in them, and they have a lot of confidence. And I think that if they choose that they want to bring about a positive change in the society, nobody can stop them. I think they just need to have more confidence in themselves. Like they can do a lot, they can bring a lot of changes. So the coming generation, they have infinite capabilities. They just need a direction in which how to channelize their
And
energies.
you are our direction, ma'am, the way you told your story, and we can do something, ma'am. And ma'am,
No,
literally,
definitely. You are the future torch bearers. The upcoming generation has to take up because after a while, after a few years, we have to hand over the, charge to the younger generation only. So I think in our team also we have so many young people and they really help us in taking our mission forward.
yes, ma'am. Yes, and we will definitely do that, ma'am. If we get a chance, then we will
Yeah, for sure.
definitely do that. And ma'am, thank you so much for joining us, for giving your time from its busy schedule, from your busy schedule. Thank you, and you were so inspiring. And yes, the way you started the organization with no money, but in our generation we have money, so we can start easily, ma'am. It's like this. We are not gonna face
Yes,
much
definitely,
difficulty.
Ritika. I think yeah. Nowadays, a lot of people are becoming more conscious of what they are buying, of what carbon footprints they are leaving. In fact, even my smaller children nowadays, I see that how they are trying to do away with plastics, the wastages in terms of the environment में कचरा नहीं होना चाहिए. So the more and more the people are very much more conscious. People know what they want to buy. They just don't want to buy stuff they don't need unnecessary. They now concept of minimalism and so many different concepts are coming up, and I think the lockdown has already showed us that our needs are so
Yes,
less.
ma'am. Yes,
We
ma'am.
don't need to run about the things that we really don't need, so
Yes,
that
ma'am,
should be
definitely.
good.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your message, for inspiring message that you have given to us. I would like our mentor Sobna ma'am to say something.
Yes, Shobna ji.
Good afternoon, Rashmi ma'am.
Good afternoon,
Uh,
Shobna ji.
it's been a pleasure to have met you this afternoon. I take this opportunity on behalf of the Rai Foundation to wish you and your family and your entire organization a very happy, fruitful, and mindful new year ahead. And your interview was so enriching. I'm sure you're doing so much of work to the upliftment of the artisans, to empowering all the women and the generation today. It's quite an achievement, and you're doing such a fabulous job. I'm sure there's a lot of learning. Your interview on our social media is going to create an impact and change and touch so many lives. So thank you so much for this valuable time of yours. We are truly blessed to have you with us today.
Thank you, Shobna ji,
Uh,
and I really appreciate that you're guiding the younger generation and people like Ritika to study these causes and these movements and these organizations, which definitely will take them to the right
Yeah,
direction.
actually, ma'am, I am
Yes.
learning a lot. Starting 2 3 days, I was miserable, like how to do, what to do, and all. And now I am interviewing so many people, and actually, I am proud that I am getting chances to meet you people. And even I want to
So
open my own NGO. Also, I am planning to do. So I think it's you all are inspiring for me only.
So our aim here is my ambition and my aim here is to every year ITM has gives us students. So I
Mm-hmm.
am here to sensitize all the youth and uh,
Mm-hmm.
help them create awareness and and to take up consciously take up something and go out and step into their shoes and जियो उनकी जिंदगी. When you step into their shoes and lead
Right.
their life, will you be able to understand their pain and help them in a to this thing. सिर्फ पैसे दे के मदद नहीं होती है. You can only help once.
Right.
Every time you cannot do that.
Exactly.
So it is very essential to empower them and help them stand on their own feet to earn their own livelihood. Thereby, taking inspiration from them and collectively in that environment, how to go and create awareness and make that difference is what I also personally aim year after year. I hope these children take all these learnings with them and identify and utilize them in a productive way, so to speak. बोलने के लिए हम बहुत बोल लेते हैं. You've met so many people, you've interviewed so many people. सबकी stories inspiring है, enriching है, but how you take it and implement it practically in your life matters a lot. Once one change will also make a difference. If you are able
Yes, exactly.
to, with after that 15 days, then whichever way, whichever field you walk in, but if you are able to change even one life, it is, you have achieved something.
Definitely. Yes. Yes,
So
even a
everybody
small difference
can't do,
matters.
everybody can't do, one single person will not be able to do, but many hands together can create a difference. But अकेले हैं,
Right.
एक जिंदगी भी आपने सवार ली तो भी बड़ी बात है, तो भी
बहुत
your
बड़ी बात
life
है.
is a worth, your life is
Right.
worth, still worth. So thank you so much for inspiring all these youth, and your interview is definitely going to be, I basically feel कि the artisans, बहुत सारे arts are fading away. So you are
Yeah.
keeping them alive, and that is, for upcoming generation, कि मधुबनी क्या है, वारली क्या है. Today, Warli is more into fabrics and on the walls, which was, slowly dying. So you have, keeping that flame alive, and giving that, keeping everything alive, bringing it back
Right.
to life. That is such a wonderful job you're doing. So thank you so much.
We
Thank
will
you
be
so much.
rejoining if it's not over. Okay, ma'am.
Dorai
Yes, ma'am.
Foundation, we have a small gesture of appreciation. It's a certificate which comes your way.
Ma'am, here is the certificate, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much.